Hey guys, it's me Chan Dragon. So today's video will be Who Should You Pull edition for 5.0. So the character will be Mualani, Kazuha, Raiden Shogun, and Kinich. Of course, take notes, Kinich I will not cover that much. I will cover later when we will do the provision and guide. Also in here we'll cover like should you pull the signature weapon or constellation if you want to pull for the duplicates or pull extra. And yeah, in here it's just very usual. I will cover positive and negative and the reason recommendation for you to pull. So hopefully this one can help, so let's get started. So let's start first with our tourist guide, which is Mualani. So Mualani overall is a relatively strong hydro DPS. She worked very good, especially in the single target, because her nature is that she just like do nuke damage in the single hit. So this is usually good for the typical like boss, but her nuke is actually strong. You can hit like see people already show like 200k, 300k. Even you want to use full buff like 2 millions, but of course in Spiral Abyss is usually around 300k, 200k, something like that. And actually already good. That's even at C0. So if you're fighting that condition like fighting boss, this is actually can become very handy. And because also her application of Hydro is pretty slow, she is relatively very suitable with the condition of Vaporize itself. So she is basically like Hydro DPS that you play again in Vaporize. I know we already have a lot of typical character in Vaporize, but yeah, she is also another one. Also, she's pretty good relatively in terms of traversal exploration, like horizontal exploration, especially like on the water or even lava. She's can be reliable, especially like that one. It's very adventurous. This one probably can help you even more. So yeah, that's basically it. Her main biggest selling point is just she's a strong main DPS that can give you high damage in a single screenshot itself, like nuke damage, and that's her main selling point. But of course, although you already see that she actually a strong main DPS, but she still have couple stuff that I want to highlight. First, if you really want a typical Hydro character that's very versatile, especially you want to play more in the like different type of reaction, sadly she is not the one that's suitable. She can play like Hyper Bloom or even like Taser, but her application is not really amazing. It works just for the sake it works, just because they are strong and Hyper Bloom also like relatively strong reaction. So for sure it will work, but it's not synergized that well if you talk like Nivelette. And other things is that in order for you to min-maxing Mualani, it's not really that easy, or I can say it's not really super convenient, because we know that Mualani is very dependent on Night Soul or typical like Netland region character. So Night Soul, this is basically your time. So if you run out of your Night Soul, basically it. So you have to be maxing in short period of time. So if you're fighting enemy that will say like AoE, or there are multiple enemy that they go here and there, you have to chase. It's quite hard for you to maximize her stack. Probably even like in one rotation you can only do one full stack that we supposed to be around 2 or 3 times. So it's quite inconsistent. So we can say like it requires a little bit of skill and you need to get it adaptation about her, how to use her. So for sure this is character that's simple, but the learning curve is quite high. And the last thing that I want to mention, the more you play Mualani, you feel like she lack of dedicated support. Like yeah, Xiangling is fine, but you feel like it's not the perfect one. She feels like she needs something like we kind of throw back like Nahida and Furina, where they affect the whole region of the character itself. So I think also like Mualani will be typical character that will getting affected when Maufika come, then probably she will become even better. But in the end, my recommendation for you to pull Mualani is that first, if you really need a strong main DPS, then yeah, you can pull for Mualani. Or second, like you want a typical character that mostly dedicated on single target or bosses, like to kill fast like speedrun, then maybe you can consider Mualani, because Mualani have potentially on single target bosses like that. Another thing, if you need a character that help you in terms of horizontal exploration, especially like water or even like lava, or even like we can say specifically for Natlan will help you even more feel more comfortable, then yeah, you can decide to pull for Mualani. And now let's move to the second character, Kazuha. Kazuha, even until now, he is still one of the most reliable character and very versatile character. He is very useful as a buffer that can pretty much buff in most of the reaction that non-Dendro, even Dendro like Aggravate, he still can buff as long you know how to do rotation, which is that's actually still very good. And he still have even like up-to-date like team, even until Arlecchino, he has like team with Arlecchino. So it's crazy that he still feels relevant and become one of the most versatile character in this game. He also have function where it can become like crowd controller, not as good as Penti, but still it's already good enough to like at least pulling enemy, and that's also a nice feature if we fighting like AoE cases. Of course, if we will talk about the team itself, you already hear some of the famous team, let's say like Vaporize team, he usually very good. Also like Freeze team with Ayaka is also very good. That's couple of his signature that he doing very well. And if you wonder, is Kazuha a better version of Sucrose or like the upgrade version? I would just say mostly people just too overlook with, they say like Kazuha is always better in everything, but actually in terms of function or as a buffer, Kazuha and Sucrose, they are around the same. On even some of the scenario, Sucrose can even better. However, in terms of convenience and quality of life, Kazuha feels a lot better because the kit of him is feel a lot smoother to play, and also like his crowd control is better than Sucrose. Sucrose crowd control sometimes kind of like hit or miss. Sometimes it's pulling, sometimes it just make it even spread, which is kind of worse. So yeah, that's why I say in terms of power or like buffing itself, it's around the same, but in terms of like confidence, Kazuha is a lot better. However, there's couples that I want to highlight in here. Although he is very versatile character, even I already mentioned one of the most important character, there's thing that I want to highlight is that I feel like Kazuha in terms of value is still high, but in terms of importance or like the urgent for you to get him is not as important as before, or at least that you don't feel the necessity will be as important as before, at least for me personally. Because I feel like time to time you already have more and more buffer, let's say like Shift can be worked in the Overload, so you can substitute that in Overload, or even like Furina, another versatile buffer that can help you as long you have one right healer, she can just become another buffer. So because of that, you have already more and more option. Although Kazuha value is still very high, it's not necessary you have to get him. So if you feel like you're not really into him, then don't force yourself. You still have another alternative. Also, another perfect substitute of Kazuha, which is Sucrose. A lot of people underestimate Sucrose so much. I already told you before, right? In terms of just buffing itself, Sucrose is still around the same like Kazuha. It's only that the problem from Sucrose that is jankiness. It's not feel nice to play. So if you can tolerate that, actually, you don't even need Kazuha. For my recommendation for you to pull Kazuha, first, if you need a versatile character or versatile buffer, then I really recommend to get Kazuha. I think you will never feel regret. Even you already have Sucrose, it will feel still give you another value. So you can even play two different teams, right? One with Sucrose, one with Kazuha. So yeah, if you need a very versatile buffer, then yeah, pull for Kazuha. And second, if you mostly playing team like revolving around like Vaporize or even Freeze, especially you have Ayaka, then yeah, Kazuha is one of the character that pretty much good for those team and pretty much will give you even upgrade. Third, if you need a crowd controller, then you can consider to get Kazuha too, because Sucrose it's not as great as Kazuha in terms of crowd controlling. Fenty is still the best, but he's still also another good choice. And lastly, if you're a brand new player, then I think this is a good time for you to get Kazuha, because Kazuha is an early player. I think it's really beneficial you, not just like in battle because she give you buff, she also have crowd control, so help you in every situation. Also can help you in exploration, which is good. And third, the Inazuma Archon Raiden Shogun. The main selling point of Raiden Shogun is that she still become one of the versatile character in Electro, because she can just work mostly in any reaction, like let's say Overload, even like Taser, like Electro Charge, or even Hyper Bloom. She can just work. You can put like different type of build and she can work with those different reaction. And actually very good character that can mostly work with different type of archetype or even like team. Another is that in terms of role, she is also versatile. She can just become like main DPS, sub DPS, and it can work. So one of the example, if you want to main DPS, you can just play like national format like Xiangling, Xinqiu, and Bennett. Yeah, she can become main DPS. If you want to make her as a like sub DPS, you put like Neuvillette and Raiden. She just become like sub DPS in here to support Neuvillette. So that's why I say like she very versatile in terms of role. However, there's a couple things that to mention in here, that although she is very versatile, she has a lot of different alternatives that same also Electro that can do her job at Z0 pretty much around the same or even better. I will give you one example, like Kuki Shinobu. Kuki Shinobu is already a very good character that only 4-star in Hyper, very good. And then even other things like Chlorine. Chlorine is pretty much one of the characters that performs around the same like Raiden Shogun as a main DPS. So because of that, like right now you have a lot of alternative that Raiden Shogun is not always the case that you want to go. Another thing is that if you want to make her looks amazing, you kinda need C2, which is kinda like sucks it locked behind Constellation. Because at C0, she has a lot of different like competition that like I already mentioned, like Chlorine, Cookie. So in order for you to make her looks like more amazing, you need this C2 where, yeah, this is where she already stand out. But of course, I still have my recommendation for you to pull for Raiden. First, if you need a versatile electro character, either you want to use as a main DPS, sub DPS, then yeah, you can pull for her, because although I already mentioned like Cookie already has the same performance like Raiden, or even Clarence have the same performance like Raiden as a main DPS. However, they cannot become a multiple roles, right? But Raiden can. So because of that, like, this is where Raiden is excel. Her versatility, one character do different job in different reaction. That's actually another good stuff if you want a character that do a lot of different like stuff like this. Second, of course, because she is Archon, if you want Archon Collector, yeah, feel free to get her. And last character, which is Kinich. Kinich I will not talk that much because I want to focus more when I do the preparation guide. Well, from what I looked from Kinich, that he looks like a relatively strong main DPS in Dendro related. And second, from his way of attacking, he looks like typical character pretty much good in AoE situation or multiple enemy. So it's kinda like the reverse of Mualani where it's only single target. He is mostly like in AoE. So I can see potential here where he quite good in terms of like multiple enemy. However, there's a couple things like a little bit bother me regarding Kinich, which is because he's very mobile, he go here and there like left and right. I'm quite scared if the camera can be janky, and that's, I hope it's not become the case. Another thing is that because the way he attack, it's kind of locked to one target. What if you want to switch the target? Is there any way to manually target between here and there? Because if only locked like that, if you're fighting like the current enemy like inspired base like the PMA, the mechanical array, you only need to target one enemy, right? What if he target the wrong enemy? How you want to switch if you already locked like that? And that's my concern. For sure, this is not a big deal. You can just cancel, but in the end, it's still quite annoying for me. That I hope that will be not the case. But in the end, my recommendation for you to pull for Kinich is that first, if you need a good main DPS, he looks like a good typical main DPS. Second, probably if you're looking character that good at AoE situation, I'd be pretty much one of the character good in AoE. And also if you need character that good in terms of traversal in vertical landscape, then you can rely on Kinich, because Kinich is already like Spider-Man. If you need to climb out like mountain or in the air, I think he can become handy. And now let's move to the section, should we pull for early Constellation or signature weapon? And let's start first with Mualani. So for Mualani, if you talk about C1, then the value of C1 is around the same like signature weapon, so it's not really matter. In the end, just depends on your preference. If you just care about like buffing overall about her damage itself, and also you want to use this to share with another character maybe in the future, or even like some character that can benefit like Neuvillette, then sure, that can be beneficial for you. And also aesthetic wise, that Catalyst looks good for Mualani. But C1 not just increase damage from the shark bite itself and increasing the missile damage, this one also can useful for your exploration, because you will consume 30% less of Pologi Stone, which is in overall your red bar will consume less, and that's pretty nice for exploration. So it's just very depends. If you want like exploration, quality of life and damage, then this one. If you want like weapon, then that's mostly for Mualani damage and share between each other, and also like aesthetic. But if of course if you talk about you want to go C2, then C2 already better than signature weapon, just because C2 will give you easier to get stack itself, so technically increase your DPS. You can do more 3 stack normal attack, so it's a lot more convenient. So if I have to rank, like C2 is better than signature weapon around the same like C1. For Kazuha, should you pull for signature weapon or early Constellation? It's actually fair depend on your objective. If you care more about convenience and quality of life, then C1 still pretty much better than weapon, because C1 will reduce Kazuha's skill cooldown by 10%, and whenever you use his ultimate or burst, it will reset the skill again. So technically you can use skill twice in a row, and this is indirectly also benefit to Kazuha to have lesser energy recharge requirement. So that's why I say this is good for quality of life. However, if you care more about just give buffing to the team, then signature weapon still pretty much better. But if you decide to go to C2, and C2 already better than signature weapon, just because whenever you use the ultimate or burst, the Kazuha cell itself, it will increase the elemental mastery either to Kazuha or the other team that inside the field. Whenever you use the burst, elemental mastery increased by 200, and this is actually already good. So you get this buff, you get also incentive from C1. So if I have to rank, C1 still better than weapon, but weapon is around the same with the C1, depend on your objective. For Raiden Shogun, should you go for early Constellation or signature weapon? This is depend which stopping point that you want to go. If you go to C1, then I recommend to get signature weapon than C1, because signature weapon also good in terms of aesthetic for your Raiden Shogun itself, and also it will give you quite okay amount of increased damage compared to the free-to-play weapon. Because C1 is nice, you will get resolve faster. This is indirectly increased damage, but it's not something significant. You can even check it's not really that much. However, if you decide to go C2, then this is already much better than signature weapon itself, because this will ignore 60% of opponent defense whenever you use the burst itself. This is actually can make Raiden become more even like DPS. So if I have to rank, C2 is better than signature weapon is better than C1. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And in the end, if you ask me what is my verdict for you, who should you pull in 5.0, my answer is Kazuha. Kazuha is just very versatile buffer, still very useful, even until right now still work with different many type of teams. Yeah, Raiden still pretty much also versatile, but I don't think it's as significant like Kazuha. Kazuha is more significant, it more help you in a lot of different cases. So because of that, I will give my choice to Kazuha.